This is the Simpy, I'm Michi Hoyer, and this is the Formula 1 car of the McLaren Honda MP4-30, driven around Circuit of the America. And with me is my team engineer and friend Robert. So hi Robert, how are you doing?
Hey everyone, good to be back again after a short break. So let's have some fun in MP4-30.
So just to clarify that, I got promoted to A-Class road license on iRacing like 2 days ago, and I had a sneak preview in the car around Road America. Now, I wanted to take this car out on a proper Formula 1 track, which actually COTA is from my point of view, and we're out on the basic set, and we tried to build a very baseline set. Trying to do so, I will drive the car, and Robert will shout out a lot of setup information there. So,
Yep. And just a quick disclaimer, this is first time I will be working on this car in iRacing, so there will be some trial and error at the beginning, and as we continue on driving and learning the car, everything will be much smoother and much more precise, but at the beginning we will be learning the car as we go with you guys, hopefully joining us in this task. So maybe we'll have fun this way. Maybe not.
maybe,
We'll see.
maybe
But
not.
let's hope. Let's hope it will be a smooth learning curve, quite steep one. So it will end up with us learning a lot quite quickly. If that's the case, then I'm totally fine with this.
Alright, with that being said though, I want to have just some minor adjustments on my driving position.
Sure.
Just the field of view. I know you're pretty critical to that.
At least don't go high.
I don't want to sit that much down, but I keep it to a minimum where I think it could be good.
Okay.
Quickly wanna load. We'll
Hey, Matt.
save the car. So hello everyone that joins us for that journey today, and it's still the default set, and I'm just taking it out as the car is. And do 1 or 2 installation laps to see how this car feels, how this car needs to be driven.
Just like on the shakedown that we had 2 days ago, remember that this car has really aggressive torque, so on the lower range, so just try to be very slow and smooth on throttle.
Yep. It just has a lot on the steer. Turning feels a bit weird, like the first few degrees I turn the wheel, nothing actually happens. And at some point, whoa, the car pretty much turns around.
Maybe it is just differential not being done really well. If that's the case, then fixing differential should be quite a quick fix.
Wow, look on the in-car adjustments you just can do while driving.
You should really bother with only a few of them. It's not like you have to change everything. Basically, yeah, at the beginning of learning of a car and driving and everything, you just need to find a sweet spot for each setting, and then just play with 4 settings top, which are regen, which is regeneration of energy for ERS, and the other is deployment. And there is also modes which you can change to fixed and to adaptive. With fixed, you basically, when you set a certain level of deployment on ERS, basically keeps it like this on a fixed level. It doesn't change depending on the situation and circumstances. And with adaptive, it works like it's self-explanatory. It's more adaptive to your way of taking on lap. If you, for example, take really low adaptive level, then it basically drains almost entire battery on single lap, and it does it in a way which it thinks should be most efficient. But yeah, if you don't know what to do with a car at the beginning, going adaptive might be a better way to go. But when you actually start getting used to everything that the car offers and basically getting to know the car much more, then I think we should start thinking about developing a mindset for using fixed settings for ERS, which is a really powerful tool. For example, there is a push to pass button in this car, which basically what it does is if you have a certain setting on a ERS, even if it's low, and if you click push to pass, it for a moment it just turns up everything to 11 basically. So everything is full power, full blast for you to have a good passing move. And after you are done with your pass, it switches off and goes back to your selected mode, that's why it's really important for you to have few those essential keys binded to certain functions in a car.
So we would definitely want to have the MGU K. Well, let me see. MGU. Yeah, we definitely want to have the MGU K fix, deploy, increase and decrease buttons. Is that right?
Yep.
So I set that. I've set the DRS button. I've set the push to pass button. Anything else I missed from your point of view? Brake bias is set.
Like we said, right now the most essential thing is for you to get used to this car truck combo. But maybe we can do something with your understeer field that you have right now, which I strongly believe might be differential. So if you want to have it fixed right now before you actually do some runs, then we can totally do this. Because I could even see from the stream that there is some issues with the car. I'm not too willing to dive in a corner, and once it's in a corner it doesn't want to continue turning. But also just need to remember that this car will work better with more speed, so maybe just try carrying more speed into the corners, and it also could fix your issues. Dave, I haven't seen the stream with him driving on this track, so maybe he said that, I don't know. Myself, I'm on the side of liking this track. It's not even my top 10 track in the world, but if I really had to choose one of the newer tracks that we have, not even on F1 calendar, it would still be quite high on the list from newer tracks, that is.
Alright, rip me, let's change something to the set. I'm pretty much sure that there is a solution to that.
It looks like it can be actually differential, so let's go with this.
You guys can hear Robert pretty good, is that alright to you from the from the voicing thing, a quick feedback would be great.
I'm a bit more quiet than you, but
I can still fix this.
it seems okay.
Just needs one click on the audio that is set. Alright, here you go. This is the setup then.
Okay. Okay, and if I remember correctly, when it comes to iRacing differential settings, the higher ones are more locking, and the lower ones is less locking. Have a look if I remember that correctly. If that's the case, then I already have
higher
some
settings
ideas.
have more locking force. Yep.
Yeah, so that was okay. Let's try entry preload. Let's go a bit lower on this to, let's say, 6.
6. The entry was 5.
Change that.
To 6.
Trust me. Yes.
But this is a more locked then, right?
No, it's less.
No, we just said are the entry preload or the entry?
Entry preload.
Ah, sorry. 6. Alright, set.
Then we're gonna go with 4 on entry. And 5 on exit.
Copy.
Try this.
Alright. You may want to explain to the people what we just changed and why we did so.
Basically, what I want to achieve, hopefully it will be the case, we won't know until Michi actually does at least 1 or 2 laps, but in theory, what I want to achieve is to have a car which is a bit more freer, a bit more free. Oh, that's on entry, making it more willing to rotate on entry, whereas on exit it has some more locking. Therefore, the speed of rotation speed of both rear-driven wheels is more closely matched. Basically, the differential wants to create less difference in rotational speed of both driven wheels at the back once throttle is applied. And let's see if that's the case on track, because my jury is actually Michi on the track, or as you call it, Americans, jury. We can still play with how throttle, how actually car reacts to throttle. We can make it a bit more progressive with some settings. I believe there is some things that we can change for throttle map, which changes the linearity of the throttle shape curve, more or less. That's what I believe is happening in this car.
Can you also do you guys know whether you can set something on the steering ratio? Like the steering ratio feels way off. It's just that, if I turn the wheel just a tiny bit, the car does not move into either direction at all, but as soon as I turn it to some point, the car really turns very hard and sudden.
The only thing that you should be interested if it's turning 1-to-1. But for me it looks like it's turning 1-to-1 rotation, so you shouldn't really do anything about this.
And to me it feels like not like turning 1-to-1. I can see wheel and stuff though do the 1-to-1 thing, but it feels not like turning 1-to-1.
Oh, well,
that is what I'm
maybe
mourning
because
about.
that's maybe because you are not used to, because in rFactor 2, for example, the cars turn a bit more with less steering input. That's, you just need to take into account that the different software sometimes feels different, and it's pointless trying to make everything feel the same. Sometimes you need just to adapt, overcome obstacles.
Someone knows what's a good lap time here in that car?
Oh, it's high 30s, mid 30s, somewhere around this. I'm not sure what's the really good lap, but I would imagine mid to high 30s. David, it's Fanatec, not Fanatic. And yes, but Michi uses Logitech wheel, which doesn't have this function, unfortunately. But yeah, I can already see that the entry and mid corner understeer is not as bad as it was, and on exit it's a bit more stable.
Whee. There's just too much torque in that turn 18.
You know that what actually controls that torque, you know?
Yeah, I know
it's
it.
your right foot, so...
But still, if, you know, I feel, leave it.
Yeah, this PU design and in-car, you basically have deploy throttle, throttle shaping, play with this. It should actually give you a good idea. Let me have a look at the description.
I want to have throttle shaping to full, that's for sure.
Then leave it like this. But what I would change right now would be your brake pressure from low to medium, your base brake bias to, let's say, 55.5, and your peak brake bias to 57 flat.
Copy.
And maybe lower begin bias ramping at 40, let's say 40%.
Okay. What is those changes you did to the car now?
Basically, base brake bias is your brake bias when you are braking not at the fullest, with the fullest force. With your peak brake bias, it is your brake bias when you brake when you touch your brake pedal with your full force, when you are fully down on brakes. That's what your brake bias is like at that moment. And as soon as you try to ease off your brake pedal, it goes a bit back to your base brake bias. So for example, if your peak is 57 flat, I believe, then that's your brake bias when you hit hard on your brakes, so it just helps you on your stability when you are braking from high speed. And as soon as you ease off your brake pedal, it goes a bit further back with brake bias, helping you with rotation of the car.
And simultaneously, with all the weight being pushed to the front on the heavy braking, I mean, as soon as you release the brakes, the center of gravity goes a little bit more to the middle again, so simultaneously your brake bias readjusts a little bit more to the rear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's basically, let's say, maybe not adaptive, but let's say it develops as with your brake input. It really helps with really on-edge laps that you need to have a car which is as stable as possible, with maximum performance from the car. Just having some changes there sometimes can bring really good pace. Yeah, Robin, it's basically what it does. That's why it's quite a powerful tool for people which are not as fine, doesn't have this finesse braking technique. So if someone is heavy-footed and doesn't know how to modulate the brake pedal very well, having so let's say this dynamic brake bias actually helps with braking and then turning. I don't know if Michi actually feels it, but I really hope so. Can you feel the car being a bit better on braking?
Yeah, it's a little bit. Wow, fuck me. Sorry. It's a little bit less reluctant to turn on the initial turn-in. So yeah, the actual turn-in feels a bit better.
That's good. That's really good. Sure, gamer. I can answer this question for Michi actually, because he already explained it in his first initial impressions 2 days ago. He believes this car is much more engaging to drive. It's more difficult. It's more difficult. The FSR is more straightforward. You basically point, turn and squeeze throttle, whereas in this car you actually need to do a lot more to make it go whenever you want it to go. So yeah, the basic idea behind both these cars is FSR car to be raceable. So it has to be easy to race, easy enough to drive, to allow close driving. And this car being much more technologically advanced, so you have to show your intelligent driving techniques, so you have to actually play with all of these settings, be a bit more tactical with your ERS deployment, so it requires a lot more brain power, let's say, to actually race it. But then FSR, which is basically just go fast man. So yeah, it's a different beast, but I'm sure Michi will really get an idea how to drive it properly pretty quickly. Hi Billy. I will allow Michi now to explain if he feels any differences in maybe force feedback in general handling.
Oh, I'm not sure if the force feedback is a good topic for me. Compared to what now?
To FSR 2018 car.
To be totally honest, I'm expecting a million of phone calls. But this force feedback is quite dead, and the force feedback of the Formula Sim Racing car is quite active. So the Formula Sim Racing car gives a lot more feedback on the wheel. But this might be just my force feedback setting being totally wrong.
You never know.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm not your force feedback engineer, so that's your duty. Get it right.
Ah, off track. I like this car though. Feels understeer, feels being a challenge. I could have it even more to the front with the brake bias.
You totally can. I just didn't want to go too far with this and making you go, whoa, this is broken, this car doesn't want to drive at all. So I just wanted to make a smaller step at the beginning.
Well, yeah, if you learn a car, like, if it's new season, you do a shitload of laps, and you learn like every inch of the car in order to then, when there is the real race preparation to come up, you want to have a lot of work with that. That's what I'm totally doing currently. I'm not even sure whether I'm shifting right or early enough or too late or whatever.
Well, I'm pretty sure exactly when the blue lights flash up, it's okay time to shift up.
Yeah, too much throttle there. Once you've lost it in the rear, it's difficult to get it back.
Well, it's as it should be with this car.
Alright,
I can help you with your understeer issue in some corners right now, if you want.
Yeah.
First of all, let me have a look what's your front wing setting, because I still believe we can actually make it turn better by just applying more front downforce with
It's
on
almost
this car.
maxed. Rear wing is maxed. Front flap can be set to 15 as a maximum. I would rather take down the rear wing by a click.
Okay. Let's do this then. Also, I would actually lower your tire pressures.
Difficult to say whether they are right or wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, it is difficult, but you won't know until you try it. But for me, almost 150 on F1 tire is actually quite a lot on cold pressure. So-called pressures, because I don't know if this iRacing car has tire blankets. If it does, then cold pressures should be around the same as the I would go even 130 something, 135.
Oh really? What you?
Oh, you back in the day, like 10 years ago.
Let's try this 140.
Okay,
go by steps.
Leave it.
And I would
Okay,
even
then
go a little bit further down on the brake bias, because front tire wear was pretty high. I'm not sure whether this was down to the braking thing.
Could be. But you remember this track is also front limited, so the tires will always be a bit more punished on braking and turning. And what I was about to say, because I lost my plot for a moment. What was I saying? Chat, help me. What was I saying before I changed to
higher pressures? Schumacher?
Oh yeah, back in the day when Schumacher was racing, for example, he was really known from taking as low temperatures as he could get away with, and it wasn't really unheard of from him to have like starting pressures around 105, 110 kPa. You could even see sometimes on onboard laps him going around the track and see the tire basically shimming, shaking under load due to having such a low tire pressures. But yeah, it's really dangerous for a tire because it can make the tire bail quite easily, but it gives tremendous grip. It's just big grip, that is. It's not. The thing is, with such low pressure, you have really great peak grip, but your let's say base grip is not as high as you might think, because the stability of the tire wall is not as stable as with higher pressures. Therefore, your grip might be a bit wonky. It might be almost on-off switch, but when it's on, the grip is really high.
Alright, this car really tries killing me now in turn 18, I think. Let's see if I can handle this. Because it feels a lot faster though. General speed.
Just give it maybe 2-3 laps. I don't know how this on which tire model this car is on. Maybe this car just requires a few laps to warm up, then stabilizes itself quite quickly. Glimmilir. Actually, well, maybe in 90s. After 90s, basically, when telemetry was really popular, because in 90s it was already quite popular, even in late 80s. It was maybe not common, but it was there. But people didn't really use it to spy on other drivers' teams and so on. It was more like a aid in your way to make a car quicker or fix some problems. Then in 90s it started to be almost a spy tool, but in early 2000s, when everybody was basically a huge spying machine with huge computers, simulations, telemetry, basically in every single corner, drivers weren't so special anymore. I mean, techniques. It was all down to really small details in how you apply throttle, how you turn and so on. Because many drivers at that time already tried copying each other in their technique and so on. It was only in late 90s, when mid and late 90s, when Schumacher was actually quite unique in his way of driving, which was almost every time explained on many videos, books and so on. But in 20s there were many drivers that drove exactly the same as Schumacher. So it wasn't so special anymore. And his throttle application wasn't really special in the beginning, to be honest. It was just... he just wanted to keep almost constant throttle position. He just didn't want to go low on throttle and then quickly back on full throttle. He just wanted to have a bit more linear throttle application and then release over throttle pedal, making the car a bit more less, let's say, less erratic on during those changes from brake to throttle and so on, which helps handling a lot. But to call it unique or special, no, it was, he just mastered this technique. It was just all about fine details.
No. Alright.
Do you feel offended, Glimmilir?
What? Me?
No, Glimmilir.
I found it a bit too twitchy, to be totally honest.
Too twitchy when?
In the rear end, like, especially when on throttle, first sector, like, aerodynamically too twitchy.
Well, you lower the rear wing.
Yeah, but that means
so.
I want to lower the front wing by one click just
also, I might... this car is really delicate towards rake, so maybe your ride heights are a bit broken.
Right height, let's see where we can just see, there you go. So right height, need to find that setting. Oh, there you go. Front is 24.4, rear is, whoa, 100.8. There's quite a bit of rake.
Not actually. Well, it is some rake, but don't get carried away, because right now you might be comparing ride heights from rFactor 2 to iRacing, which is, you would be surprised what's the real ride heights on a car based on where those calculations were made, because it's really important where you actually measure your ride height. It might be at the end of the edge of your floor, or sometimes it could be your TPU of your diffuser, and if it is, it already creates a change of 5 to 10 centimeters.
Alright, what would you set it then?
Let me have a look. I have an idea, and it's I'm gonna be honest about this and say it will be an experiment. I have no evidence whatsoever that it will work, but if it works, then really good. What I want you to do is to lower the car at the rear with and increase heave rate to quite a big amount.
what height ride we're aiming at?
I wasn't looking. Did you lower the car already?
I'm about to. Now it says too low in the rear. Not on the suspension or ride height, but on the spring deflation.
Yeah, okay. Because we need heave rate to be...
That's maxed
let's
already.
say around 80.
That is maxed already on 75.
Okay. Then if it's like this, then okay.
Trying that?
Yep. This is an experiment. I'm totally honest about this. What I want to achieve is to have a bit more, let's say, how to put it so everyone will understand it.
I don't know what you're going to say.
Basically, I want to create a stable aerodynamic platform with stable rake, with the rear end being a bit lower. The rake will be a bit less, but with higher heave rate, I'm basically disallowing the rear end to squat by a large amount on aerodynamic load. So whenever the car is under big amount of speed, when it's speeding quite a lot, the aerodynamic load is pushing down on the car, but the heave rate doesn't allow the car to squat. Doesn't allow the rear end to squat by a large amount. So the rake is a bit more stable, more constant.
A lot more stable through turn 18. Not sure if caused by the front wing -1, but it's a difference between day and night.
Good.
First time I got turn 1 right. Whoa. Have you seen that turning momentum on turn 4 on the inside curb? Not sure
I'm
of that.
way behind you, so...
Yeah, okay, no worries. I got my
on
Twitch running though.
Finish straight right now.
Is that on Twitch?
Yep.
Okay. Once you see it, you will agree I never had that before.
Yep. It actually looked interesting.
It felt like bottoming out with the middle of the car.
Could be. I'm not saying no. Without telemetry, I can only judge it by visual and your feedback.
You will see a massive time gain through 18.
To be expected.
Alright, I'm learning the car better and better. 0.4 faster now, 143.4. I'm racing full fuel though, by the way, guys. Just so you know.
That's a good disclaimer.
Weird behavior into 2. It keeps doing that. Like it feels like we're floating. I keep carrying on though. I want to learn more about this behavior.
If it feels like floating, there could be 2 things causing it. It could be either bottoming out, or it could be mechanical.
Could it be the tire be too flat?
Actually, this car doesn't like high cambers, so your cambers is not actually something really dramatic. Oh, now I saw what you meant. Without telemetry, I'm not sure, but it looked like your anti-roll bar would be a bit too stiff.
Too stiff?
Yes.
It's 20. It's, I think, one of the lowest things you can have. I will try doing another lap then, though.
Yes, I need to see it once more. Without telemetry, I'm only basing everything on visual, which not always tells the whole truth, but the way this car almost... It looked like the front end just wanted to slide off the track. Which is quite usual with when you have too stiff anti-roll bar. Basically the load that is applied, which is trying to apply on both tires, is, let's say, overcoming the grip level that the tires can provide, and basically it creates this snap feeling of losing grip. Too soft anti-roll bar would be really apparent on entry, and that happened more on mid-corner than entry. I'm hungry.
Ah, so am I, but I'm hungry for fast lap times though.
That's good, that's actually low carb food, so you won't get fat from this. Well, Robin, sure, it's just down to time. If we really tried using the telemetry right now, it would take twice the time. So this stream, if, for example, in theory, if we wanted to go really deep into telemetry and we wanted to, let's say, on paper, have a stream of 2 hours, let's say, then we would have to add 1 hour at least to that time if we wanted to use telemetry as well and use it to full extent. So no just quick a sneak peek and get back to the game, but actually fully dig into the data. It would take time. My sessions with telemetry usually are 5 hours at the least. My longest setup and telemetry session was 14 hours, with only small breaks for toilet and maybe some water and all the stuff. But it was basically 14 hours of basically trying to figure out everything. And if we wanted to use telemetry, I think it would be wiser to create a stream which would be focused on telemetry more and not driving, because right now we want to do as much driving as we are making changes to the setup, it leads to lots of time spent on track when we would want to change the distribution from less driving but more setup, more telemetry. We would have to sacrifice the driving part, which we don't want to do, at least not today. We will have a stream dedicated to telemetry, explaining all the graphs, values, what we are looking for, what we want to achieve and why, what we should be looking at to give us some answers for some questions, all this. But if we want to have this, we won't have any driving. Well, we will have, but very little driving, and we want to keep this stream, let's say, driving and some setup changes in between, with explanations during the driving periods.
Alright, I learned a lot in that first sector.
Robin, you would, but no idea how many else would do this. I would. I'm a guy, if I do something and I dedicate my full attention to something, then I can do this for 10, 12 hours, no problem. I have no problem with this. But not everyone is like this, and I have to respect that some people just want to have brief, quick videos which explains a lot of things quickly, briefly. Sometimes even not going fully into details, just explaining why this does this and why this doesn't work. We are still figuring out the perfect formula for these videos. We want to see if people want to have more technical view on changes, if they want to have more driving with those changes, about the techniques that you need to apply to get the most out of the car with those changes. Glimmer, yeah, of course, but we want to satisfy as many people as possible. It's not we don't want to alienate certain group of people which don't have an idea what would we be talking about. We want to have accessible streams for anyone. Everyone and anyone, so no one will feel like this is not for them, this is too biased towards one thing or another. We want to have some balance in those videos, so everyone will find something for them.
So you guys now saw I changed the tire pressure a lot to a lower value, because I build the rear end a lot with air, and I had the feeling that the rear end was a little bit more loosey, which pointed to the fact of my knowledge that the rear end was with a more pumped up rear end, it had less grip, which means it was too pumped up.
Well, I told you from the beginning that you can go as low as 130, 135.
Yeah, I went to 135. I just want to know how car balance is right now, because you really feel a change of conditions and a change of balance in like the second or third lap.
Yeah, iRacing is quite annoying with this. Well, not annoying, it's... the thing is, with, for example, rFactor 2, it is wise to go at least 6, 7, 8 laps, because that's around the time of usual tire to actually build up the pressure and stabilize itself at certain level.
Okay, bit too
In
low.
iRacing it seems, yeah, it also just develops this pressure, builds up the pressure in, let's say, similar amount of time, but somehow in rFactor 2 the difference in balance of the car between first and, let's say, fifth lap is not as huge. You can feel less grip after you worn out the tires after a few laps of driving. You feel that the peak grip of the tire is not there anymore. Whereas in iRacing it's quite the other way around. At least from what I've seen, it's like the car becomes totally different beast after a few laps. It can be an oversteered monster on first lap, and on third lap it will be a tamed sheep, which is quite annoying, to be honest, but nothing I can do about this, so it's all about adapting and overcoming this.
Oh, I can change the front flap mid-drive. Oh no, this is pit stop, sorry. Is there only one tire in iRacing?
In iRacing, yes. iRacing doesn't have compounds.
Oh. I
You
mean,
didn't know?
no. I was a little bit blown away by the amount of things you can adjust in the car.
And you don't have compounds. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah.
Like 15,000 changes on MGU, H, E.
But hasn't got DRS or something.
Yeah, it does have DRS, but
Yeah, it does
doesn't
have, but
compounds.
yeah. But it's like,
Yeah.
you know, adjusting a Formula 1 car with a 15 million possibilities in spring, but don't have DRS on the rear wing.
Yeah.
That's how this currently feels like.
Mm-hmm. Robin, about telemetry, yeah, of course, sim racing will be leaning more towards hardcore racing with upcoming years, with all sims getting more and more advanced, with having more and more features, more and more advanced tire models and everything else. It will be, of course, it will be leaning more towards hardcore racing with enough time given, but the thing is, telemetry should always be an aid in your pursuit for speed. It should never be your base for speed. I've been sim racing for 10 years now, and telemetry has always been some kind of guide for me. It was never the magical stick which if I wave around for 2 seconds, it basically fixes everything, like a magic wand. My setups usually are based on feel. I don't know if it's down to my experience, but I sort of know what to expect from a car if I do this or this change, if this right height change, this compound, this tire pressure, and so on and so on. Then I use telemetry just for fine-tuning. When I'm pretty much happy with the car, I usually use telemetry just to see if I can maximize on, I don't know, just little change on spring rate to get this maybe 1/10 in this little corner that is quite annoying, but this change can actually provide much needed speed through there. Or if I can maximize aerodynamic platform, even if it means only getting like 50 kilograms more of downforce with minimal drag increase, then of course I'm gonna do this. It's basically almost free downforce, and that's basically what I've always used that telemetry for. I've really tried to tell anyone I could not to rely on telemetry too much, because once you do, you lock yourself in a endless loop of trying to get everything in telemetry perfect, which it won't ever be. It just is just gonna make you lose time, your precious time, which could be spent on practicing your driving, your technique. And if you are experienced enough changes based on feel enough, although feel is usually enough to for you to actually have a good setup, then maximizing maximizing the performance of the car with telemetry is totally fine.
To be totally honest, I want to be able to put in some consecutive laps now already.
Yeah, do this, and I'm gonna try to focus a bit more on the driving and maybe spot something that is not good enough on a car that can be maybe fixed. Note it down and use it as a base for a change on your next attempt on attacking the track. But as far as good, so it doesn't look bad, especially the assists. With this amount of fuel that you have full fuel,
yeah,
don't you?
100 kilograms.
Then the first sector assists look quite okay actually.
This car definitely features the slow in, fast out, pretty much.
Also, we need to remember that we don't know. We need to figure it out. Oh wait, right? We didn't play with ERS settings yet. So if you wanted to see how fast the car is actually with this load, we could set it to highest performance mode and see how fast it goes. Maybe later.
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah,
well,
I'm not going to...
Rip. This bump.
What did you do?
Well, you actually have to fully take that curb and fully take that bump to have a stable car. Once you're not in that curb or that bump, you're gonna lose it. So I request a new car and simply go out again, because the car actually felt fine. William, thanks for the question. Actually I do like the car pretty much. It's very challenging to drive. I'm far from being ready driving this in a league.
Yeah, this loss of control is purely down to you bottoming out there.
Yeah, but once I take that curb, you know, the car is totally fine.
Well, once you take, remember that if you are in a race with someone and have just slightest touch of wake from the car in front, and this allows you to hit that curve perfectly fine because of this, and you hit that bump there, and it makes your car go haywire and go rip, then is it really worth it?
No, it needs to be fixed at some point, but for now I'm alright with it. To be totally honest, I got big issues at the minute. Still learning the car. Taking the right lines and stuff, and maybe not spin it on the braking, and not spin it off the accelerator. Fuck me. Sorry. Hey Michael, thanks for joining us. Yeah, rule number 1, never spin the rears.
Hey, Michael.
So right at the end of the stream, I will unfuel the car and set it max power, and then we see how much we are off from that 136.
Sure. If I remember correctly, the highest power setting on ERS is the lowest number, so you should set it to fixed, and I believe 1, and it goes up to 12, I think. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pronounce your name correctly, but here it goes. McKiernan. Was I correct there? Let's say that I was, and if I wasn't, sorry. Yeah, this setup is always in compromise. There is no such thing as... Well, there is something like tailor-made setup for a driver, but even tailor-made setup is basically a compromise setup towards the handling, because there isn't a track in the world that wants this one setting and nothing else. There are many ways to skin a cat, and you can be fast with many approaches to get the car to be fast on a track. It could be in slow corners, in fast corners, it can be on straights, it can be on braking. It's just down to you where you feel you can help the car be faster without having perfect settings for the car to be fast like this. What I'm saying, if you feel that your strength is your braking, or you feel really confident with applying power, then you can totally sacrifice some traction for better turning, for example, because you know you don't have this ability to make the car turn into corners as much as some other people, and you need front end to be a bit more pointy, and to have this you need to sacrifice some traction, but you know that you have really soft right foot, and you can control the power in a way in which having a bit worse traction is not gonna hinder you. Then of course you should go this way, and that way you can totally expect every setup to be a compromise.
I need to change the setup geometry now with a...
Yeah, I skin cats. I don't like cats. I only like them when they are soft and tender after long time cooking.
Oh, damn. Working on the wrong set. Wait, what did we change in order to bring the spring deflate down?
Basically, you've taken away the fuel and it changed the weight distribution and made the spring deflation. It made it change, basically.
Wow.
Thank you.
Like you have to turn.
I tried. It was more luck than knowledge, so don't give me too much. Let's how to put it.
Drive.
But yeah, don't worry guys, I don't skin cats, I love animals, I just don't trust cats. Doesn't mean that I don't like them, I just don't trust them. There are single exceptions. For example, my cousin has a cat which is behaving more like a dog than a cat. Maybe that's why I like it so much, but otherwise, most cats don't inspire confidence in them, in me, for them actually. You want deploy mode on fixed, therefore it will stay in max mode for entire lap.
Alright, let's see how far we are away. If I hit the 38, I will be happy. To be totally honest with you.
Deploy optimal speed is nothing that you should be really interested in, because it's only for adaptive. It doesn't change anything for you at this moment.
Okay.
Deflection, not deflation.
Sorry.
Yeah. You said it, deflation, and I just followed you like a dumb sheep. There is also deformation, but yeah, deflection. When it comes to Michi's cats, I've only heard about her. I haven't seen her even once. No, I've only seen her tail, and that was it. It was one of the times when she jumped on a desk and just wiggled her tail and jumped off. That was the only time that when I've seen her, but otherwise, no. No idea how his cat looks like. I'm more like a...
Alright, here we are.
Go for it. I've always been a dog guy. I've also owned rabbits, hamsters, rats. Flies, mosquitoes, but those pets I only have during summertime, and they are quite... they don't like me. I don't know, maybe because I don't feed them, that's maybe why they don't like me this much. Especially mosquitoes, maybe I'm not taking care of them as much as I should.
Did I say if I hit a 138? The 140.1, but how much fuel is left there? 4.8 kilogram, and I started the run with. But to be totally honest, fuel is not that much of an effect on the speed. 8 kilograms, that means 5 is alright. Just take it another run.
No, I'm not experimenting on them. I'm just not feeding them. And I punish them every time they sit on me. They are the only pets with flies, which are not allowed to sit on me.
Always take it easy on the in-lap because of your ERS setting. Only when you press full throttle, the energy is being deployed, I think.
Yep. Yep.
I have to be totally honest with you guys. Despite some of the world record breaking guys are doing 136s, if I make it to a 138 somehow, I'm gonna be purely happy because the setup is far from being ready. We're still on the default suspension, more or less. We haven't.
Dampers are untouched.
Yeah, dampers are untouched.
Basically, 70% of the setup is still on default, and this car with so many settings is the zoo. It's basically a zoo of changes that we can and should actually attack, and we will probably. Maybe we will do a chain of streams focused purely on a MP4-30, which will slowly develop into a somewhat competitive car. At least we hope so. If it was like Porsche Cup car, it will be already done with final setup by then. By now, actually. Upcoming LMP1 car. Oh, that's right. I forgot that iRacing is actually trying to get this LMP1 car into the scene, but they've already announced they are trying to get LMP cars like 1.5 years ago, so it's taking them quite a lot of time actually. But yeah, once it's out, probably our iRacing team on ACR Zag Speed will probably at least try driving in this car. With, if that happens, probably will end up with me being their slave. Because it usually ends up like this. I get a call from someone like Timo or Michi calling, dude, those guys need some setup guidance. Come back and have a look. And then I spend a few days tinkering with the guys. But yeah, I like it. I'm not really moaning right now, not at all. I'm just joking right now, but yeah, I like it, but I'm sort of scared of this moment when it actually gets released and I get a call from someone from management telling me, dude, they want to race this car. You want that, what it means, right? And I was so, dear Lord. Dear Lord. Yeah, it will be fun. I like challenges. I actually love challenges. That's exactly what keeps me keeps me getting up every day, to be honest with you. The harder something really is, the more engaged I usually get. So I'm gonna say, let it come. Michael, no, he's been here before, but not in this car, and I can totally tell you that almost every track in F1 car feels like a new track, because the speed difference between F1 car and any other car, which maybe bar LMP1, feels slow. It basically feels really slow. Every other car compared to F1 on most tracks, and I've caught myself many times saying, yeah, this track I've known like a back of my head, back of my hand.
No.
Okay. Damn, son.
Yep. Alright, final try, guys.
Before you go, maybe you want to change something in the car to make it.
Do I?
Any feedback for me to make it happen?
Not sure, really.
Well, you were driving. You should know what did you feel?
Yeah, but I do not know whether this can.
If it's driver related or if it's setup related.
Yeah.
Well,
I do not know that. Yeah, I need more practice on this car and then maybe more trial and error.
Sure. If you don't know what to change, we're not gonna change anything because it's counterproductive. And that's really important for you guys to remember. Don't change stuff on a setup just because you want to try things before you actually feel like you've hit your limit. For example, even though I do it almost on daily basis, I usually don't touch setup for at least 1 or 2 days after first time I touch the truck or car. Doesn't matter. I usually try to lap and lap and lap and lap for a full or even 2 days, and then actually start doing something with the car. Of course, I can change things like brake bias on even before first time on track. I can, purely on instinct. I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but things like ride heights, like dampers, spring rates, cambers, those things I usually end up touching after I already feel that I
Alright, here we go.
Okay, I'm back, sorry for that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, 2 days spent on just perfecting my lines, everything, and then I start changing setup, because at first it can be really indistinguishable. This tongue twisters, it's buzzing me out. It's really hard to say sometimes if this or that car behavior on this track is purely because what you did to the car with your inputs to throttle, brake, steering, or is it purely based on what you have on your setup. With experience it is easier to say if it's this or the latter. but you should never fully trust yourself. I usually tend to provide some level of disbelief for my feelings. I try to keep myself steady, try to evolve step by step, and then when I'm totally positive that I'm doing everything as I should, and I confirm this with, for example, someone else driving the same car, same conditions, and so on, someone which I know is good enough, that's the point where I actually start some serious hard work on setup.
Talking of ERS, my headphone went low on battery. I know I can do a 39, and if I hit a 39 I'd be totally satisfied with today's drive. And William, to quickly answer your question, Michael is absolutely right. It's 10 PM, so that means Michi needs to stop driving in a couple of minutes.
Killer.
Come on. No! Oh, for crying out loud!
Or your catchphrase, holy moly. What did you do to the car? And be honest, because I don't see it yet. I'm not seeing it yet. In turn 1 right now, turn 2. Yeah, I saw this snap oversteer was... I would need to see a replay, a slow motion replay of this situation to actually see what happened there. Thankfully, iRacing uses quite high fidelity in its replay system, making the whole suspension movement and so on. Maybe not one-to-one, but very close to what actually was going on with the car, which I really miss in other sims, like even rFactor 2 is miles behind in that area.
Alright, we just have another try though. That
Sure.
turn 1 was good though.
Yeah, you were like 3 or 4 times up after 2 turns. Glimilir, yeah. Your mindset, your approach is 80% of your success on a new driven car. 20 is setup.
No, just doing tiny
What did
little
you-
mistakes.
What did you do?
A bit too early on the throttle there. I can do it. This is annoying. I mean, you know, I'm not even finishing sectors properly right now, so the optimal does not even drop.
Just have a little break, like even 2 minutes. just give yourself 2-3 deep breaths while I maybe
you know, I'm
can
short on
fix
time.
something. And just give it 2 minutes and you will do one more lap.
Let me try this first though.
Okay. De-gelling, yeah. It was fixed visually. It was more or less fixed with recent update. Well, maybe not recent, but more than 1 month ago there was a quick fix which implemented new ways to project other car shadows in rFactor 2 in DirectX 11 version, which basically made the car looked connected to the road, so it doesn't look like a hovercraft on road. So yeah, that actually was a big help, but I still think that, and I made many comments on this towards developers of rFactor 2 Studio 397, that they should really consider creating more fidelity in how suspension movement is projected to outside world. Basically, what iRacing does is using high fidelity of sending information from telemetry to basically outside world, so everyone sees how every corner of the track is compressed, decompressed, how it's jumping, how it's rebounding. It looks great. It looks really great on camera, on TV cameras, on replays, because it gives this more alive feeling of a car when you are simply watching someone else. And this is the area which I truly believe rFactor 2 would benefit from hugely. And the response I got was, we'll see. We will see. So I think it will be down to cost benefit. If it's gonna require lots of work to make it work properly without any performance losses in that department, then I think we're gonna see it sooner or later. But if it's gonna be really hard to implement without sacrificing something, then maybe we might never see this in rFactor 2, which has this problem of being really advanced in many other areas, which are draining the performance out of the hardware quite a lot. So having yet another thing which is quite hardware extensive might be too much. It was same with this. That's exactly why more sims don't use drive club range system. You've all probably have seen drive club and how it looks during raining, when it rains, the physics of water on windshield, wipers and everything else. It is actually not that hard to implement in other sims. It's really down to performance. Drive Club has very simple order features in a game, which leaves lots of power that can be used for calculating stuff like this, water on windshield and so on, which, for example, other sims can't do because they are calculating much more advanced, much more complicated stuff in other areas which Drive Club doesn't do. This is basically why we don't see many fireworks and sprinkles in other sims.
Anyway, with all that being said, which is very informative and I think very unique knowledge I didn't even know. We're gonna bring this stream to an end because I feel like being at the end of my limits today, right now anyway, and it's
And I'm hungry.
yeah, same here.
Gołąbki are cooking for me.
Same here.
If someone knows what are gołąbki, then props to you.
So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and hope you had some great entertaining with us, some great knowledge being thrown out at you. Hope to see you back on another stream tomorrow, and let's see how this keeps evolving. Anyway, guys, thank you very much, Robert. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
No worries, I appreciate your help. So, this was Robert, this is Michi Hoyer, this is the Sim Pit, and we see you out on the track.
Good night, guys.